tell you a little bit how these amplifiers are constructed. We take an aluminum billet, a full block of aluminum. It's a special alloy, and then they put it in a machine and they cut it so it's hollow. And at the end of that process, they put a thing called a diamond cutter, which is a big wheel about 12 or 13 inches across with little diamond tip cutter blades on it. And they spin it really fast and they run it over the whole surface of the amplifier, around the front and down. Then they put the grooves on the front and put a radius on it, and that's the whole chassis. Now you think about that, that's an incredible amount of work. And it does something for it obviously has a great look to it, but it also is really integral into some of the fact that the amplifier's sound comes from a solid case. It's not made up of a lot of sheet metal. I think that has a lot to do with the fact that the grounding in the amplifier is consistent. Then we get to the copper heatsink. The copper heatsink is made of an oxygen-free copper. It's completely machined, very similar to how the chassis is made, but all the machining is done. There's a bunch of holes on the inside, and then there's the venturis on the outside. And then when it's all finished, it gets another same thing, a diamond cut on all the surfaces. And then right after that, it has to be painted. And it has to be, the paint is something similar to automobile clear coat, but it's not. It's a polyester-based lacquer that is put on, but it has to be put on within 24 hours of the unit actually being cut. So if you cut the copper and you wait, you have to cut it again because it starts to tarnish, and you can't polish it out and you can't clean it. So it's a problem. So those are some of the factors building this thing that are very important. So after I said all these things, can I answer any questions before we start playing music?
I'm curious about, unless it's where you decided it would be better to put the gain in terms of instead of in the very front of the amplifier.
I put gain in the driver stages of the amplifier as opposed to the front end.
Because I engineer sound, and I know a key to getting good sound is the further down the line you can get your gain, the better the sound quality is going to be. That's
right. You're right on that in that aspect. Most amplifiers have all their gain in the front end, and then they put feedback around it. They usually have 60 to 100 dBs of gain in the front end of their amplifier, and they put a bunch of feedback around and drop the gain down to where you can use it 25 to 30 dBs of gain depending on the size of the amplifier. So that's an important factor. Any other questions? Okay, I'll play some music, and I'll try to tell you some of the things that I hear when I play the music, because I have a system similar to this at home. I did a lot of the design work on the amplifier on the Sachas, and then Dave Wilson, in a nice gesture, sent me Alexandrias to use to finish the amplifiers on, and that's what I'm using at home right now.
You want to tell them about your new products?
Yeah, that's a good idea, Pedro. I have a stereo amp that's coming out this month, by the end of the month. And that's 200 watts a channel, and it looks exactly like the amplifier you see there, except the meters are on their side. It uses the same chassis. It's about 200 watts a channel. It's going to sell for $25,000. And then the preamp, which is in here, both of those products are floating around between Japan and Thailand somewhere on their way back to me. That's why they're not here tonight. So I have a preamp that's going to be out hopefully in January, beginning of February, and that's going to be $28,000. And it's done the same way as the amplifier. It's all analog, and it's all built by hand with all through-hole components. It's a zero feedback design, and it uses an outboard supply and a very unique type of volume control using an R2R network and a special DAC to select the level. Once the level's selected, then there's just a relay and a resistor inserted where the DAC goes, and then you have a pure resistive path without any pot or anything else in the way of it. So it's going to be very interesting. I think sonically it's going to be awesome.
Is it differential or?
Yes, it's purely differential. There's no single-ended parts on it at all.